wanted to talk briefly about a painting that I did this spring called Night Geometries, and this particular painting was a painting of a deer and several owls and some birds. And in this was the first painting of the series in which I broke the picture plane into a geometric, where there were the outline of the animal was broken into a grid, and so that there were lots and lots of squares within the outline of the animal, different colored squares that made up the color content of the animal. And I have been working in this way where usually the background had been broken up into a geometric, either rectangles or squares in different colors, and then painting in oil on top of that, usually a more realistic depiction of an animal. And in this case, it was the first time that I had broken up the actual outline of an animal into this grid of color. And so for me, that was kind of a jump. And secondly, in this painting, Night Geometries, the theme, the idea of it was that if you could look out into a field and turn the lights on at 3 o'clock in the morning and watch what animals were doing at 3 o'clock in the morning, these nocturnal visits, you could see that there was quite a lot of activity. And I had spent some time at a cabin at my wife's family's property just outside Bozeman, and I got up every morning at 3 o'clock and I would listen and was aware of all this goings on. And so my idea, Night Geometries, was not only that there was tons of activity between all of these animals, but that they were aware of each other, and also that their flight patterns and their tracks on the ground made lines. And so there were all these geometries of animals. You know, if you could have if the next morning you could have a map of where all these animals had gone, you would have a zigzag pattern and maybe even a heat-sensitive way of looking at them. It would make a pattern and a geometric pattern. And so that's not entirely visible in the painting, but that was kind of the way I was thinking. That there was all of these things that we, after we go to sleep, happen, that we're not aware of, that the natural world is entirely aware of based on sound, scent, and their instinct. And so that's sort of what this painting was about. It's what brought about the initial composition. Not to mention the reduction into a two-dimensional plane, and I've abstracted these animal forms into just an outline form. And you know, this sort of reduction is very interesting to me in that, you know, in terms of thinking about all things in the archetypal realm. In other words, that this chair or this sweater exists in an archetypal thought form and realm outside of human experience. Some people believe that the idea of a chair and the idea of a deer or an owl exists whether we do or not, and that those things, that chairs and owls came out of the idea form that existed before chairs and owls. That's a whole tangent, but I was thinking along these lines as I painted this picture, and that's where it came from for me, was a reduction in form so that you only have the outline of an animal, but also the meaning of that animal to another animal at night, night geometries, and how they move about and what those movements are on a continual basis. It happens and has always happened. And those are the things that I was thinking about while I made this painting. And that's kind of a lot of information, but believe me, you know, I probably worked on that painting for 2 weeks, and that's what, you know, intrigued me and kept me going, was the idea. All those ideas that I just spelled out. So that's night geometries for me.